why don't you just make the opening like an outtake of us doing something?
This could be the intro. Because it is.
Oh shit!
What is up, you guys? Thank you for watching another Us and Our Friends video. My name is Brian. This is Montez.
Hey guys.
He's frozen right now. Today, we're bringing you guys, it's not a vlog. What? It's not a sketch. It's a new show. We're calling it Rank 'em, and it's very exciting. Montez is like frozen from excitement, right? Do you want me to just go? Son of a.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Kevin, remember, when you're editing this, use whatever.
Yeah, if it looks like it can be used for a beginning, I guess then use it for a beginning.
I'm gonna get the show on the road. So like I said, the show's called Rank 'em. It's very exciting. We're gonna change it up every single time. This time we're gonna open with a big one, Kanye West albums.
We the real rock stars, and I'm the biggest of all of them.
I'm a big fan of Kanye West. Text message man is a big fan of Kanye West.
Side note, Kanye West is a person that made me want to start making music.
So there you go.
I am the #1 most impactful artist of our generation.
Now, before we start this list, I think there's a couple things that are obvious that we do want to bring up. One, this video is going to be dated after we put it out. There might be new albums. There might be a different ranking. This is our definitive ranking in terms of what we feel comfortable putting down. That won't change too much. This is after Jesus is King. So this is from everything Jesus is King before. We're not going to include Cruel Summer. That's one of the exceptions we're not going to do because it's a comp. And we are going to be including Watch the Throne and Kids See Ghosts. But we're also not going to include the 70 billion leaked Kanye projects. Yandy's not #1 on either of our lists.
But I'm the best.
But yeah, so none of that's going to be included. We wanted to stick with these rules. And we're gonna be doing our last album first. I'm gonna be listing a couple, he'll list the same order, then I'll do a couple, he'll list a couple, and we're gonna do our top 2 at the very end. So again, when you watch a new Rank 'em, it might be different, it might be a different order, it might be a different theme.
He's got a lot of hand movement. I've never seen so much hand movement. Is he crazy, or is that just the way he acts?
So that's gonna be the fun of Rank 'em. We're gonna bring on new people every single time to discuss, have fun, and it's gonna be great. So I guess without further ado, we're gonna bring up our stinkers. So at number 11 for me, it's Jesus is King. This album could have been so much better than it was and so much more interesting. There are some songs in it that I like. Use This Gospel's good. That sounds like a car alarm, like seatbelt and the beat. I liked it though. Clips was good. I like the Kenny G thing. Follow God's obviously good. I like Salah, but other than that, yeah, not for me.
My stinker. Ye. Ye is my number 11 because you know what, personally, I kind of like Jesus is King for what it is. It's like, I don't know. I can see it for what it is. But Ye is the one album where when I first listened to it, I was like, I just thought to myself, no. I was expecting more. He was billing it up as being something like good, and it just was not good to me.
But it was good.
To you, it was good. To moi, it was poop emoji.
Okay, so yeah. I guess those were the poop emoji albums. So now, without further ado, I will go on with the rest of my list. At number 10, we have the collab album with Jay-Z and Kanye West.
Wow, really?
Watch the Throne. Yes, Watch the Throne. Okay, so first off, before we get into semantics, other than Jesus is King, I don't think any of these albums on this list are necessarily garbage. They're all fine. Jesus is King is the one that's very upsetting to me. Watch the Throne's just I think for me, Watch the Throne's not an album I revisit that much. When I was looking through the track list, like, No Church in the Wild's great. I love
Niggas and Bears.
Thank you. That's all that I have before it's for him to say that. I like New Day. I really like The Joy. I actually think all the bonus tracks on the deluxe version are better than some of the tracks.
Fire.
Way better
The Joy. The Joy is probably
great.
the most fire
Prime
song.
Time. I love Ham, even though it's a little corny. That song reminds me of the song you just said, where that's a fun, egotistical, braggadocious song. Like, that's a good track like that. I love Why I Love You. Why I Love You is great. Made in America. No, Made in America is that really corny one with Frank Ocean. For this kind of collab, I was expecting more. I still think there's a lot of good about it, and this was like kind of coming off of that dark fantasy era, so I think he was still kind of on that glitzy, glamorous lifestyle sort of stuff. Yeah, so that's where that album comes from. Number 9 is an album I didn't expect to be this low, but because I do enjoy it, but when I started kind of breaking down everything about it, this definitely is probably his weakest solo album next to Jesus is King, and that is Yeezus. I loved this album when it came out. I loved it. You know I loved this album when it came out. But I think the more I sit on it, there's something about this album that he didn't do as well on like albums following this. I think Yeezus still has great moments. I think it's wild and weird, and it just doesn't come off, like it just felt very bandwagonish. Like it just seemed like he was jumping on the experimental Death Grip sort of inspired bandwagon, and
what the f does that mean?
And I don't go back to it that much, but I still like a lot of the tracks on here, like Black Skinhead.
We could have been somebody!
Yeah, that's a good song. We can't be anybody after you put Yeah at number 11. Anyways, at number 8. At number 8, this is a controversial one. At number 8, I have College Dropout.
You know, I'm not like... I don't feel too bad about that, honestly.
Okay, so here's my take. I think it's good. I do think it is overrated. I think people saying it's his best album, I think is a little overrated. I
don't think that at all.
Well, I know. My whole opinion on the album is I think there's a lot of filler tracks. I think the skits aren't as good as something like Late Registration. I think Late Registration has a lot better with the skits. I think the skits are funnier and they make the album
more sense.
Yeah, and they make more sense and they make the album flow better. College Dropout, I mean, it's his debut. There's a lot about it I like. This is that classic soul chopping, excuse me, I can't talk right now. Soul chopping Kanye. Again, like Jesus' Walks. I'm having a stroke today.
Jesus is Walks.
Like Jesus' Walks. I said it again.
Don't ever do that.
It's just, I don't know. Oh my god, what's the song with him and Mos Def at the end?
2 words.
I think Kanye out-raps Mos Def on 2 words. So I think there's still a lot of great things about this album, but overall, I think it's a little overrated. I still think it's fine, but it's not high up there like his other albums. And at number 7, I have Graduation. Graduation was the finish of his trilogy. That was sort of College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation. I like a lot of these sort of modern aesthetics to it. He was going for sort of that big arena pop rap, sort of rock anthem-y sort of inspired album. I think there is a lot of great stuff about this. I love a lot of the sampling on here. Everything I Am is great. Big Brother is a phenomenal ending to this album. Homecoming with Chris Martin of Coldplay is great. Yeah, it's a solid album. I think there are some dated things on here, but I think overall, and there's some songs that don't sit with me well over the past couple years, but I still think this is a pretty solid Kanye album. And I love sort of it fit the time too, because that was around the time where like T-Pain was becoming big, and he always has T-Pain on here, and I actually think that's a pretty good song too. But
fire ass song.
Yeah. But yeah, so those are those 4. So without further ado, his number 10 through 7, Montez.
My 10 through 7.
Yes.
Alright. So number 10 was this guy's number 11. Jesus is King.
Jesus is King.
So it's kind of weird because I don't necessarily think it is a shitty album. Like everyone.
I don't think it's shitty, but
I mean, you kind of implied that it was shitty.
It was very underwhelming for what he could have done with that. It was what Ye was, but I feel like for him making this huge gospel album, it could have been a lot more.
I'll give you that much.
Yeah.
But what I just liked about the album, I mean, I don't know, I guess I just liked that it was different for him. He was just trying something new. And some of the songs kind of resonated with me. Obviously, Follow God is like everyone's favorite song off of that album. I highly messed with Everything We Need. Personally, I kind of actually like the album. Okay, yeah. So my number 9 is Kid See Ghost with Kanye and Kid Cudi.
Oh my God, this is actually about to happen right now. Oh my God, Montez!
Alright, so yeah, that's my number 9. And it's not a bad album at all. Honestly, I don't think any of these Kanye albums are bad. Let's get that put together first of all. Well, maybe besides Ye. I kind of think Ye's bad. Jesus is King is it's on the border. But Kid See Ghosts, I don't know. It just
God
it was good, but I've never been a true Kid Cudi fan like that anyway.
But Kid Cudi sounded so good on it. It's the first time he sounded good since probably Man on the Moon.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna say that he didn't sound good, because he did. He sounded amazing on that album.
This is going a lot more fun than I thought it was gonna be.
Sonically, the album was f***ing amazing. But just I don't know. It's just like I said, I'm not the biggest Kid Cudi fan, so it didn't resonate with me. My number 8 is Watch the Throne. Honestly, it was a solid album, but you know, the older I get, the more I kind of am like, replay value on here is a little iffy.
I will say this: when we were like in high school, that was like our shit. Because I think that's when you and I finally kind of connected about Kanye, and I remember you and I would talk about that album like a lot, and like we listened to it all the time.
Yeah, and it was the 5th album that really had us like, oh shit,
Yeah.
you actually like this guy? I didn't think you liked Kanye back then.
And then look at us now.
Yeah.
Me yelling at him about kissing.
Yeah.
Number 9.
I'm not gonna say that actually. We're gonna keep this slightly kid friendly, even though I've cussed a few times already.
What's your number 7, Montez?
Number 7 is The Life of Pablo.
Okay.
And you know, when that album first came out, and I went and downloaded Tidal just to listen to this damn album.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was. I remember.
And I didn't really know how to feel at first, because I remember listening to it like, this shit doesn't sound done. He just kept updating the album and mixing it, and I'm like, who does stuff like this? Only Kanye would, of course. Yep. But you know what? I thought that was cool, and that's why this album is a little higher than the rest, just because that's the only album I know of to ever just have like live changes to it after it actually came out. And I probably liked a good third of the album, maybe the middle to the ending of the album. Wasn't the biggest fan of the beginning of it. Sure, you have Father Stretch My Hands Part 1, but I mean, like, that song is just too short for me.
So that's your number 7.
Yeah.
Life of Pablo.
Yeah, that's
good.
Right.
Okay, that's right. Cool. Okay, so now we're going to 6 to 3. My number 6 is this poop emojis one. Yay.
Are you trying to be racist? Are you trying to say that my skin tone resembles poop? Is that what you're trying to say?
Put a newsflash thing here and say, newsflash, Brian is racist. I'm not. Ye was, okay, so obviously as you guys all know, Ye was kind of out when you just drooled on my floor. Oh my God.
That's disgusting.
Make sure to keep that in.
No!
Ye. Came out, he was doing sort of his full album, Good Fridays, where he was putting out, you know, he put out Push's album, his album, Kid See Ghost, all that. And personally, for what the gimmick was, he was, you know, 7 songs for all the albums, blah, blah. I thoroughly was interested. Like, a lot of people talk down about this album, and this isn't what you said, but a lot of people talk down about this album because it's like, it feels not like the Kanye touch. I feel like that is what the charm is to this album for me. Like, I was listening to it, and it was one of the first times I felt like Kanye was very vulnerable. I think it was the most vulnerable I think he sounded since like 808s, but even then.
Life of Pablo?
Life of Pablo, but like, I feel like 808s he was very vulnerable on throughout, but I feel like it was like vulnerable, like Dark Fantasy, where it was still him talking about kind of like, you know, I'm living rich and blah, blah. Ye, on the other hand, like, you know, the song about his daughter, the song about him out here and how his wife doesn't leave him. You know, I think the opening track, before he with it and he changed like the bass drop at the end of it when the rest of the beat comes in, I actually thought is kind of interesting. I think Yikes is great. No Mistakes is really good.
Yikes!
The song, the one where the hook is like, that song is kind of, I mean, there's funny lines on it, you know. Yeah, that song. I don't know what the song name is, but that song is okay. But honestly, I thoroughly like this project. And I see why people don't like it, but it just intrigued me. Like, I thought it was really interesting, and it was an interesting deep dive to where he was at the time. But at number 5 was an album he just brought up in this conversation and previously, Life of Pablo. I thought the same thing he said. I watched the live stream where he was at Madison Square Garden, and like, Kanye's garbage. I listened to that album and went, this is hot garbage. It came out, listened to it again, hot garbage. I don't know what happened, but after listening to it a couple more times, I'm like, I f***ing love this album. I think, like he said, there's a lot of great stuff about it. I was interested because this album feels like it's a culmination of Kanye. I keep saying that wrong. Soul chopping.
Jesus is walks.
Soul chopping. He has like experimental stuff. He has grandiose stuff. He's very introspective on like Real Friends and Wolves, which I think are great. I think FML is amazing. Ultra Light Beam is a great opener to this. But
feel these beams.
Feel these beams. Like he said though, I think when you listen to the full album now with like St. Pablo on it and it's sounding a lot more polished, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's very interesting personally. And then at number 4, I have Late Registration. I really love this album. I think this album was the opposite of what College Dropout would have been. I think it sounds a lot more polished. I think it sounds a lot more finished. Obviously, as I brought up with him earlier, I think the skits are a lot funnier. I think a lot of the B-side stuff is great. There's just a lot. I think he does so much more interesting things on this album. It's classic Kanye at its best, and I don't think there's any more I could say about this album. Like, it's just great. And at number 3, which was an album that is despicable, was so long on your list. The self-titled Kid See Ghost album, Kid See Ghost. This album's phenomenal. Kid Cudi is incredible on it. His crooning sounds amazing. Kanye, this album, production-wise, is perfection.
Yes.
It's perfection. It's really experimental. It's him doing soul chopping. It's him doing these weird like rock samples. It's so experimental. And I think also Kanye lyrically on here is impressive. Like on Fourth Dimension, that whole like he was, you know, mix of Master P and Rick Ross. Like that's great. That's kind of fun, clever Kanye. His stuff on Reborn. Oh my God, Reborn. Like I think this album was so great, and it was interesting to hear the two of them talk about mental health and mental illness like they did. Like I still go back to it. And that's my number 3.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
Okay, so I will say that I found out that I mean, I kind of always knew the Kid Cudi produced, but I didn't like for real know until Kid See Ghost came out, and I just remember looking at production credits. I happened to look at them, and I seen Kid Cudi's name on a few songs. I was like, oh, so like he produces. Like I thought he was kind of just like throw a little something here, throw a little something. He actually like makes songs.
Oh yeah. So what's your number 6 through 3, Montez?
My 6, okay. Number 6 is probably 808s. So my whole thing with this album, I did not listen to it when it first came out in 2008. I really wish I would have listened to it back then, because I feel like maybe the cultural impact would have been a little greater for me.
Yeah.
But I didn't listen to that album for the first time until 2013. It made complete sense how everything that's going on in music right now came from that album for the most part, or was inspired by it, I guess I should say. Yeah, it was actually a really solid album, besides it being so depressing all the time. but it's Bad News is probably still my favorite song.
Bad News
on
is
that
a good
album.
song.
It's kind of just out there. I like those songs that kind of don't go with the album, but they still go with the album.
They did it. Yeah, that driving, like
the drums.
It's
the drums. It's the drums for me.
Yeah.
On that song.
Okay. Number 5. What you got at number 5 for Kanye albums?
Okay, number 5. So Yeezus is my 5th album.
I know with you and I, like, our differences on hip hop and sort of like where you and I sort of connect with weirdness and stuff like that, was this sort of you being like, because I hope this wasn't your first time listening to an album and being like, this is weird. But like for Kanye, for you, it was probably like, what the hell is he doing?
Look, I'll put it to you this way. I first got this CD I bought it out of Target the day it came out, and it had a clear case.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that threw me off, but I was like, okay, whatever. Kanye's just being Kanye or some shit. I get into my car. I put this CD into my radio.
Daft Punk.
The very first song comes on site. I bullshit you not. I turned my radio all the way down and turned that shit back up and looked all around my car and was like, bro, my speakers are fucking broke. My speakers are broke. What is this? And then the song came on and I was like, no, it's not supposed to actually sound like this, is it?
That is funny. Yeah, that Daft Punk, like, EDM beat.
Yeah, that shit threw me for a complete fucking loop. But after I got used to that, I actually really liked the album. One, just because of how weird it did sound for it to be a Kanye album. Two, that was just a unique ass album to me. And to be real, I think you would say it doesn't have much replay value for you, right?
Well, like, it doesn't. Like, it's one of those albums where if it comes on, I won't turn it off. Like, it's one of those things, but I don't go back to it like Pablo or Kids See Ghosts or other albums of his.
I can go back to Yeezus like that and just listen to it because the older it gets, the more I actually like that album.
And it does have really good moments. Yeezus is a good album, I agree.
Oh, the album, not song.
Yes, but number 4. What's actually funny is we actually share a commonality of an album that follows up Yeezus, which is your number 4 album, right?
My number 4 album is College Dropout.
Oh.
Obviously everybody's gonna be like, that's Kanye's best album. It was his first album. And I just don't agree with that.
Say them. That's what I just said earlier.
I'm not gonna say that because I am for the children. I am a Christian, I don't cuss.
Talk about College Dropout.
College Dropout. So look here. Great album, classic album, definitely considered a classic. I feel like it's got its faults, you know, the skits, kind of the same thing Brian said earlier about them. They're kind of almost out of place, but at the same time they make sense. But also at the same time, I feel like it's just a tad bit too many skits. I just feel like it's too much filler in that album. Period.
Yeah.
I listened to this album a lot when I was a kid. This came out in 2004, right?
It did.
So I was, depending on the time, I was like 8 years old when this album came out. I remember my parents got it and I used to just always listen to it. So that's why it's so high up for me, really, for the nostalgia factor. All right, at number 3.
Yes.
Number 3, we got
I'm not gonna keep doing that if you're just gonna sit and look at me like that.
Okay, so for number 3, we have My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Okay.
I swear, when I first heard that album in 2010, I was a sophomore in high school. We were both sophomores in high school when we first heard this, and I think that album is what really made me go, oh shit. This man is on some shit.
That run he had where like he came on the VMAs and like that whole trajectory of the songs coming out, that was such a perfect rollout for the album.
Easily favorite song on there is Devil in a New Dress.
It is a very good song.
Mike Dean, Alicia Keys, and honestly Rick Ross make that song. Rick Ross is really the person that makes that entire song, because without that ending verse, that song would not be as good as it is.
Like that guitar solo on that song that he did was great.
Just know that it is a fantastic album, and that, I could probably say it shaped the 2010s a little bit, right?
Yeah, I would say so. At this point, you guys know there's probably 2 more albums left for both of us, so you're trying to guess which one's which one's not, blah, 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 blah. So I'm already gonna spoil it for you guys, because my number 2 is 808s and Heartbreak. So basically what he said is that times like a million, because I think this album's gorgeous. This album, the moment it's winter and it's snowing and it's cold and it gets dark, this album is chilly.
Damn, like that would be the perfect album.
And that's the thing, is like there's songs that are really depressing, but the music's very cheery and upbeat, so it kind of messes with your brain. You're like, but I want to dance, but this is some sad stuff. 808s is different. 808s sounds chilly, it sounds sad, and then Kanye's amazing kind of croon, rapping, singing, autotune, I think it's an awesome touch. I know a lot of people were turned off by this. I get it. Obviously he came back with Dark Fantasy, which was sort of his way of coming back to it, to hip hop, but I could not skip a song on this album. I think this album it has a perfect flow from start to finish. Obviously that leaves one album at number 1, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I did a classic review on my channel. I'm gonna link it in below. Just go watch it. This album got me into Kanye. This album was one of the most shocking revelations I had coming into hip hop, because I wasn't a hip hop head like I am now. And just the sound of the album. Power still remains one of the best hip hop songs, I think, of the 2010s, of probably the new millennia, just the production on it. This was his masterpiece. So that's my number 11 through 1. I'll let you finish with your top 2.
So my number 2, ladies and gents, it's Graduation.
Clearly you didn't graduate because you're still a little.
It's Graduation. So, Graduation. This is that album where, let's see, 2007, this came out when I was 11. I used to walk to my bus stop with a CD player.
With this album.
With a CD player of this album playing, and I would be on the bus just listening to this album nonstop, and I'd always be repeating Barry Bonds. Easily my favorite song on that album, for sure. It's also another Kanye album that kind of made me go like, dang, I want to make music, I want to make beats and stuff.
So obviously you're number 1. Don't hurt yourself.
Late Registration!
That's right.
Alright, that's forever my favorite Kanye album. It is really the album that solely got me into music like that. The first album I had ever heard to where I was hearing like orchestral instruments with rap. As a 9-year-old, that blew my mind. That was around the time my sister was born, and I remember my mom and dad used to always play Hey Mama around my sister, and she'd always start dancing, and just the concept that a rapper would actually use orchestral music, that was just wild to me, and it was always interesting to me, and now I hear other people doing it all the time, but like, my favorite song on there is probably Late. That's one of those album cuts, you only know about it if you know about it, but I like every single song on that album, besides maybe Bring Me Down. That's
too.
the one song I'm kind of like,
yeah.
Late Registration also, in my opinion, best beats. Okay, maybe, I don't know if I'm gonna say best beats, but
How much more successful do you want me to be?
top, out of all of his albums, top 3 as far as best beats goes, for sure.
I'm a fan of really great stuff. So, you know, by the fact that I'm really great, by default, I'm a fan of myself.
So that's Late Registration. Mine would be like Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, but honestly, like, does it really matter what our opinions are? It matters what your opinions are.
I mean,
we want you guys to put your top Kanye albums in the description below. All the ones we listed here, put your own list in the comments. Maybe we might reply with some thoughts about your list. Who knows? It's really cool and exciting.
hey look, all I know is that I better not see anyone put Late Registration towards the bottom.
Thank you guys so much for watching. It was actually a lot of fun. This is the beginning of the show. We're gonna bring different people on, we're gonna have different topics, all that. We already kind of have an idea of where we wanna go, but if you have any ideas of stuff you would want us to list that we might be interested in, again, comments below. Follow all the socials, subscribe to us if you liked it. Go watch our other videos, because we obviously do other things than these. Is there anything else you wanna say for the good people out there?
You know, if it isn't known already, I make beats. I make music.
I will put all of your stuff in the description below so you guys can check it out. You can check my solo stuff out. You can check his music and beats out.
Ouch.
Thank you guys so much for watching. It was really fun. And who knows, he might be back with someone else. I might be back with someone else. But until then, this is us and our friends, and we'll see you guys soon. So dab to the top of the atmosphere is what our motto is. Don't fuck it up.
Comes up and says something like, I am a god. Everybody says, who does he think he is?
I just told you who I thought I was. A god.
He's a jackass.